Hey, Terry here. Welcome to part 3 of my 1738 land service pistol rebuild project, refinishing the stock. I thought I might have a little change of scenery. I'm at the restaurant today in between a shift change, doing 2 shifts. It's a Saturday, our busiest shift of the week. But you don't never let work interfere with pleasure, I always say. So what I've done with this, you can see right now, I've not only removed all of the finish, okay, see, this is the kind of content that you only get live. Where was I? Oh, yes. I've removed all of the old finish. I've done some relief carving here and on the other side, on both sides, bring a little detail out, here in front as well. And I've fine sanded it down to 400 grit. And what I was going to do was show you this technique. What I was going to do was show you this technique that I talked about in the last. What I was going to do was show you this technique that I was talking about in the last video called whiskering. And what that is, you'll take a wet cloth like this, right, and just rub it down. Get it nice and wet. Then you can take a blow dryer if you want to do it fast. And what that does is it causes any of the little fibers on the surface of the wood that might be laying down flat to stand up, get rigid and stand up. And you can actually feel them with your hand, and it feels a little bit like whisker stubble. And then you can take your 400 grit sandpaper again and you can sand them off and make the surface of the wood even smoother. And you can do that 3 or 4 times, I guess, and it'll get that wood right down to where it's really just silky smooth. And if you want to get it even smoother than that, you can then switch over to mineral oil and keep the same 400 grit, or you can go up to a 650 or an 800 grit, and you can do it another 3 or 4 times. I'm not going to do this one that smooth. I kind of like being able to see the grain, so I've already done this one 3 times. I'm going to do it one more time on the butt here, just to go over it a little bit. I've already pretty much finished this one up. And just take the sawdust off of it. Now we're ready for staining. I'm going with a stain called Provincial. I had wanted to do a light walnut, but none of the stores in my area have a stain called light walnut, or any walnut for that matter. So instead, I'm going to go with Provincial. Now what I'm going to do is just dip this cotton ball in it, and I'm going to just rub it in to the wood. Like so. And you can see it's not a real dark stain. It'll just bring that grain in the wood out. It's not going to hide the grain though. It's not that dark. So I'm just going to rub that on with this cotton ball. And Sorry about that. Over here, you're over there. And we'll just get that all over it. And then we'll take a cloth and just rub it down. I'm going to just rub it in. And I want to get a little down in there, a little in there, down in there, where I did that carving. And again, I'm just going to rub it in. With a clean, soft cloth. And this one is almost done. I'm going to go over it again one more time. And again, if you want to see all of the excruciatingly painful details on this, go over to Patreon and sign up for a membership. For as little as $5 a month, you can watch me stain a pistol stock, among other things. Yeah. And I'm just going to leave this last coat on. So I guess you're asking the question, why rub it down 1 or 2 coats and then put it on and just let it soak? Does that really make a difference? Probably not. It's just how I do it. So there it is. All stained up. And what I'll do is I'll let this dry, and then I'll go over it with some 800 grit and maybe even some 1000 grit, and I might put another coat of stain on it to darken it down some more, and we'll call it done, ready to finish. So I'm going to set this up and let it dry, and then I'll be back with the super fine sanding and another coat of stain and the final lacquer and top coat finish. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Hi, Terry here. Well, it's pretty obvious I'm not going to be getting outside for a while. So, since I'm going to be staying inside, I thought I would just make use of the time and start finishing up this pistol refinish project. So I've put a couple of coats of stain on it. I've let it dry. I've gone over it with some 1000 grit to smooth it up. So now I'm going to start putting on several coats of lacquer. And I'm going to use lacquer to seal it and then top coat it with urethane. And what I've done here is, you can't see this, so let me show you. I've got my lacquer here and a cotton ball, and I put the screw back into the butt of this pistol stick. This would hold the butt plate in. I just put that back on so I can hold it. And now I'm just going to start working it in. And what I'm going to do, as this dries, I'm going to sand it down and then put another thin coat on top of it. I'm using it to penetrate into the wood and seal it prior to finishing with a top coat. And some people will advise you to put on several heavy coats to fill in the wood and then sand it, but I personally prefer doing, say, 6 thin coats as opposed to 1 thick coat. Get a little bit off the cotton ball there. This stuff dries just incredibly quickly, and it really penetrates into the wood. So one of the reasons I'm going to go over and sand it between coats is to get all the little fluff off this hair from these cotton balls that might have stuck onto it. And then get the end. I don't believe I missed anything. By the time I got to the bottom, the top's already soaked in. Okay, now I'm going to put some wire on this and hang it up and let it dry. Hang it up in a closet so it doesn't get disturbed. There. And hang it up like that. And let it dry. And come back and do another coat. I'm going to do this 3 or 4 times, sanding it between coats till I get it on as thick as I want to get it nice and sealed. And then I'll start on the top coating. So, see you after that. So, the stock is done. Yeah, unfortunately I had a few technical difficulties and lost the video of the process, and of course it's already done, so I can't just go back and reshoot it. So here's what happened. And you remember in the last clip I had just put on 1 coat of hand rubbed clear gloss lacquer using a cotton ball, and I had hung it up to dry. Well, the cotton ball didn't work out as well as I had hoped. In fact, as it turns out, that lacquer just ate that cotton ball up basically and left just little fibers and stuck all over it. So once I got all that sanded off, I switched over to a soft cotton shop towel, which worked very well. And so how I finished this up was I rubbed in 3 coats of lacquer, then sanded off 2 coats with 220 and 400 grit sandpaper, then did another 3, then sanded off 2 coats with 220 and 400 grit sandpaper. That gave me pretty much a nice smooth finish on it. So then I topped that off with 3 coats of clear gloss water-based polyurethane top coating, sanded off 2 coats of that, and then I put on 1 really nice thin finish coat just to really shine it up. And this is what it looks like. So the stock is finished and ready for reassembly. So, onto the steel.